It has been a cruel and punishing night for the Liberal Democrats, party leader Nick Clegg has said. 3 former cabinet ministers, Energy Secretary Ed Davey, Business Secretary Vince Cable and Treasury Secretary Danny Alexander, were among more than 40 Lib Dem MPs to lose their seats. Mr. Clegg held his, but said he would discuss his position as party leader with colleagues on Friday. As of 0915 BST, the party was holding 8 seats, and had lost 46. It had 57 seats in the House of Commons in 2010. Other senior Lib Dems to topple were former Schools Secretary David Laws, former party leader Charles Kennedy and former deputy leader Simon Hughes. Speaking at the result of his Sheffield Hallam count, Mr. Clegg said, "It is now painfully clear this has been a cruel and punishing night for the Liberal Democrats. The election has profound implications for the country and for the Liberal Democrats. I will be seeking to make further remarks about the implications of this election, both for the country and for the party that I lead and for my position in the Liberal Democrats, when I make remarks to my colleagues in the Liberal Democrats later this morning when I return to Westminster." Mr. Davey, previously tipped as a possible party leader, lost his Kingston and Surbiton seat to the Conservatives. Nearby in southwest London, Mr. Cable lost his Twickenham seat, also to the Conservatives. Both attributed their defeats to a combination of coalition and Conservative warnings about the threat of a Labour/Scottish National Party administration. Paid the price. Mr. Davis said his party had paid some price for joining a coalition government, but he had lost on Conservative warnings of a Labour government propped up by the SNP. Asked about Mr. Clegg's future, Mr. Davis said he would let Nick make his mind up. Mr. Cable said it had been a terrible night, but the party would bounce back. Danny Alexander told the BBC, "I lost my seat, that's democracy. Worse things happen to people." He said he hadn't expected the results to be as bad as this, and said the party had a lot of thinking to do about how to keep the flame of liberalism alive against what he described as the forces of nationalism and anti-Europeanism. Former Lib Dem leader Paddy Ashdown told the BBC he was immensely proud that we put the national interest first by forming a coalition in 2010, adding, "We will be back." Norman Lamb, who served as a coalition health minister and who held on to his Norfolk North seat, said it felt like an unwritten rule of politics that the smaller party in a coalition loses out. Veteran Lib Dem MP of 32 years Simon Hughes lost his Bermondsey and Old Southwark seat in London to Labour's Neil Coyle. In Scotland, Charles Kennedy, MP for Ross, Skye and Loch Haber for 30 years, and leader of the party from 1999 to 2006, lost his seat to the SNP. Lib Dem Employment Minister Jo Swinson lost her East Dunbartonshire seat to the SNP's John Nicholson with a swing of 16%. Home Office Minister Lynn Featherstone and Whip Jenny Willett also lost their seats. Former Liberal Democrat President Tim Farron successfully held his seat in Cumbria's Westmoreland and Lonsdale. Scottish Secretary Alastair Carmichael was re-elected in his Orkney and Shetland seat in Scotland, despite a swing to the SNP of 24%. Eat my hat. Earlier in the evening, Lord Ashdown said he would publicly eat his hat if predictions the party would lose 47 seats were correct. He told the BBC this was a certain error and the party's own polling indicated it would fare better. He later admitted it had been a bitter, painful and cruel night for the Liberal Democrats, and accepted that he now has to eat his hat. Many Lib Dem candidates have lost their £500 deposit, which is not returned to candidates who get below 5% of votes cast. The party did not lose any deposits in the 2010 general election. On the eve of the election, Mr. Clegg insisted his party would be the surprise story of polling day, defying predictions of an electoral mauling. Mr. Lamb, who is widely expected to stand for the leadership of his party, said the Liberal Democrats needed a period of reflection. "It's not a good time to be making big decisions when we're all utterly exhausted," he said.